Hello, welcome to step 3 in my personal steps to wellbeing during the lockdown. And for this one, creativity. As you can see, I'm wearing a rather fetching hat, and I don't think anybody's ever said to me, Julia, you need another hat. I have about 50 hats, and my husband would definitely say, if he wasn't locked in the garden with all the dogs, that I probably have too many hats because what does he know anyway? So I don't know about you, but I have spent many hours, long periods of time on eBay buying things for craft and creativity projects that I just haven't got round to doing. So having accepted that we are in a place of uncertainty and not sure what's going to happen, and recognizing I needed to fill my time when I'm not working or in the gaps between working, what was I going to do? And luckily for me, I'm sure like you've bought lots and lots of vintage feathers as well, that you have spent many hours lying around thinking about how you would embellish all your many hats with all these fabulous feathers that you've bought. So the first thing that I did when I realised that I needed, to fill my time with meaningful, fun, interesting things just for me, was to go straight on YouTube and to look at how you shape feathers. And it was absolutely enthralling. It's so engrossing. And so here's some examples. These are parrot feathers that I shaped, and they were full feathers. And I have shaped some of them into leaves. Look, beautiful. They're yellow on the other side, and started to bend them as well. Bending feathers is a big thing. And I also have these beautiful white pheasant feathers, which I've shaped. And I'm going to a wedding, hopefully, in September. Hopefully it's still on. And I've got this hat, which is cream. It's not white, so don't worry about the bride. And so I started learning how to bend the feathers, as I said. So bent that one, I've bent this one. And it's really hard. It's really difficult to do it. And I was sitting there watching these American women just bending these feathers, and it was just much more difficult than I thought it was going to be, but actually quite good fun because they got some proper bends on them now. So I can do some really good stuff with that when my glue gun cartridges turn up. Because it's too fine to stitch that hat, it would ruin it. So yeah, creativity has been something that I've found just really freeing, and these are like bite-sized well-being bursts. Working remotely it's more challenging. Let's face it. I teach courses for the Recovery College in the community, and when I'm face to face with my learners, you bounce off of each other. It's really, it's really interesting. It's fun. It's meaningful. It's humbling, and we now having to run those classes remotely because we need to keep supporting our learners, and it's really important, and stay connected with them and engage still, and they want to engage, so that's absolutely brilliant. It takes a little bit more time, and it takes more setting up, and it takes a little bit more concentration, and that's tiring. So in between those times, it's good to have these bite-sized well-being bursts where you can just go off and do something for half an hour, and it's just for you, and it's totally not connected to anything else that you're doing through the day. And the benefit for me is that when I go back to work, I'm going to have hats coming out of my ear holes because I have so many hats and so many feathers. It's unbelievable. Something else that I've done is before the lockdown, I bought a huge art set because my husband's always saying he'd love to learn he'd love to paint, he'd love to draw, but he doesn't know. And, so I said, why don't we just, sit down and do that thing? Because art's not about perfection. It's about, your involvement with it and sort of freeing yourself a little bit. And what better time to do that when you have nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, but spend time for yourself and with yourself. And so, yeah, being creative is really important.